Hi, I'm Richard Harries. I'm from East Yorkshire. Well, that's where I live at the moment. I've lived all over Yorkshire. And I've had various problems with writer's block, as I think we all do. Um, I'm just going to mention sort of three occasions. One was when there was a particular anniversary for 100 years from the First World War, and people kept inviting me to come and perform. And obviously, I've always been moved by the First World War, but I'd never written about it. And I thought, yes, I'll accept these, I can write something. And I couldn't. There was just nothing there. And I was getting quite panicky because this anniversary was coming. And then one Saturday afternoon, I sat at the computer and started writing a poem, and it was like the seal had burst, and poems were flooding out. And obviously, they all needed editing, but I'd been gestating them in my head. And eventually, it got so that I had to say, "Oh, please stop writing about World War One. I know it's the most tragic, awful thing that's so moving, and I write when I'm moved." And so I had to almost call a halt to it. But as a result of those poems, um, I was then commissioned to write more. So I have an enormous amount of World War One poems. Um, Another occasion, I had been wanting to write about Richard III, and I'm a Ricardian. I think the guy was innocent, and that goes back to me reading a book by Josephine Tate when I was about 14 called The Daughter in Time. And I was aware that there are so many fanatical people who care deeply about this subject. I know if you're not interested in history, this sounds ridiculous. And I had to have everything completely accurate, and there was so much research in it because I didn't want 1,000 emails or comments on YouTube saying you got that wrong, mister, you couldn't have been there. So that was a very difficult one. I kept putting that off and off and off, but eventually I sat down and wrote it. And the third occasion that I want to just tell you about was I had a breast cancer scare. Men can have breast cancer. And I wanted to write about it, but I was frightened by the cancer word. I didn't want to write a poem that would upset people that were maybe going through it who had just lost somebody. And so I made a conscious decision not to write about this. And then it wrote itself in my head over a month. My mind kept going back to it, my spirit and my soul. And it was more or less composed. I just had to type it out. And that was very strange, writing a poem that you didn't actually want to write, that you'd made a conscious decision you were not going to write. And yet I performed it all over the place at very big festivals. And I always have people coming up to me, often in tears afterwards, thanking me for writing it because they lost a husband, a cousin, and in one occasion, three brothers who all developed it at the same time. So that it wasn't like they had the knowledge and they could go for early treatment, which just solves it. And it's not something that will kill you if you get the diagnosis clear. Mine was clear anyway. I didn't have it, but it was a very strange one. That so there's just some of my experiences about difficulties in writer's block. Thank you.